This is John Walton, and you're listening to the Power Play Point Podcast with the Blue Liner on point and Anna Knox. Here's Wilson, and on the right circle, he scores!
Rebound loose, wild scramble in front, score! Ovechkin with a buzzer beater! It'll count!
And a hat trick tonight, number 21,
Spectacular! Braden Holtby!
Hello and welcome once again to the Power Play Point Podcast. This is your host, the Blue Liner on Point, talking to you live to tape from my home in Glen Burnie, Maryland. And we are headed for the Stanley Cup playoffs. Let's just get that straight and out of the way here. That's what we're here to talk about. But of course, we got to recap the final bit of games. And here to help me do that, returning from a glorious vacation, is the one and only Mermaid herself, live from Centreville, Virginia, Anna Knox.
Hey, happy Sunday, gal.
Happy Sunday, happy Easter to all those who celebrate.
Yes.
It is 420, and of course we're gonna end the regular season episodes on a high, of course. So
look at you making jokes.
you know I had to. But first, yes, how was the vacay?
You know what? It was a staycay.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, we had we thought about going out of town, and we were like, okay, let's do this. And then the more, like, are we ready to do this? How about this? The dog, like, what do we do with the dogs? Are they coming with us? And it's like, you know what? We're just going to do a staycation. And it wound up being totally fine. It was great. Like, we have an annual tulip picking I do with the kids. I drag them to that. And that's always fun. And it's, support the local farmers. Absolutely. And then, it was like adulting spring break where you have appointments, doctor's appointment, eye appointments, this appointment, that appointment. Someone needs a haircut. It's like all that kind of stuff. And then here we are, Easter Sunday, and it's over. So, yeah.
Some taking care of business, some
totally
fun stuff.
And it was fine. Honestly, like, I am a total homebody when it comes to things like this. So I'm like, you know what? Sometimes we just need a staycation where we can just, get up when we want to get up and eat what we want to eat and watch what we want to watch, and who cares? And although I will say we tackled our garage. Whew. For anybody out there that owns a house, a garage, a shed, anything, and you're like, I'm going to organize this one day, and you keep putting it off, that was us for like 14 years. So there were things that were in these boxes that the kids were absolutely dying, hysterically seeing. Pictures of like my high school ID cards. Remember they used to do those?
Oh yeah.
But then like seeing Ian's pictures where it's like he had a mustache and it was like a terrible porn stash, but at that time that's what they did. So I'm like, yeah, that's your dad. And no, I did not date him then, because if he had that porn stash, I'd be like, sorry, no. And then like a lot of, pictures of, God, like when I played soccer when I was little, swimming, articles in the newspaper about me swimming, like all this shit that my mom had saved. So that was kind of fun to see, but yeah. And then there was a big old truck dump of stuff that I'm like, why did I hold on to this? Like, this is like ridiculous. So it's sort of like a good little self cleanse, spring break. And yeah, it was. And then I watched some like really crazy, um, cheesy horror films, which I absolutely love. And that was fun. Nothing that I'm like, oh, you should definitely see this. But I had, like one a day. I was like, all right, okay, I'm reading the summary. It's got terrible reviews. How bad could it be? And there was a couple I was like, oof, yeah. And there were a couple that I was like, okay, you know what? That was a little harsh. It had some good jump scares. So yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a very fast week. I didn't have the 2 weeks that you did. So now tomorrow I'm like, oh my God, am I ready?
Now, trust me, my 2 weeks kind of flew by because I had stuff to do, but that's okay. That's yeah, like you texted me earlier. Adulting, so much
Mm-hmm.
fun, so much responsibility, so much fun.
Yay.
So yeah, if any of you kids out there listening, enjoy it while it lasts.
100%. My God, if your parents let you sleep in, you don't have to do anything, cherish it. Cherish it, because
Definitely.
I never thought I'd be the parent that would like wake up at 8 and be like, okay, so here's what we're going to do today. Here's what needs to get done. Like laundry, this, we're going to clean off the deck. We're going to do, the garage. And that lasts about a day. And then, the next day I'm like, hey, everybody's off, including me. It's like it only lasts a little bit. But in
You
between,
you
we
get done
had
when what you can.
exactly. And I was able to watch hockey, and now I'm just super amped for tomorrow night.
As we all should be. And tomorrow night being Monday, the 21st, game one of the playoffs for our Capitals. But, of course, before we even get there, we got to talk about the final bit of games that were played since we left you last. So we're going to start with the one that was played last Sunday, and that was against the Columbus Blue Jackets. So I am winding back my calendar trying to find that. So that was the 13th. It was a 4-1 loss. The highlight, of course, being Alex Ovechkin topping his already new record with his 43rd goal, which opened the scoring at 1:10 of the first. Didn't take long, 70 seconds in. Strome with his 52nd assist. And I'm sure a lot of us were thinking, okay, Caps are back. Well, no, they weren't. No, they
Not so much.
definitely weren't. Because it pretty much went all downhill from there. It was Zach Werenski. Boy, am I glad they didn't make the playoffs. Well, not really, because I was kind of rooting for him because of Johnny Hockey. But a lot of guys on there whose names I cannot pronounce to save my life, and that guy's one of them. Tied it, and then it was the Adam Fantilli show, and then it was another guy whose name I can't pronounce, Voronkov, iced it. So yeah, 4 straight goals and nothing in return from the Caps, although they managed to get 31 shots on goal and won 61% of their faceoffs. Power play, again, was nothing home to write about. Nothing to write home about, that is. Doubled up in hits. I mean, they looked kind of like they were on their way back, just didn't put the puck in the net. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. But it happens, I guess. But they looked better than their previous game against the Jackets, so there was that. Okay, so the next game was fortunately not a back-to-back like those two were. Next game was Tuesday, April the 15th. And by the way, that game against the Blue Jackets was the home closer. So I was about 40% right. Alex Ovechkin did score a goal, and it did break a record, but it was his own record at the
Right.
time, not the record. So I was sort of right, sort of. Want to take all the credit I can before I max it out. All right, so 15th, back up on Long Island. Gee, didn't they just do this? Yes, they did a few weeks back. and that happened to be where the record was broken. Okay, so this was their last best game. So we're going to dive into this a little bit more. Dylan Strome opens it up on the power play. Dubois and Sandin the assists at 8:15. Strome again. Okay, so this was easily the Dylan Strome show because he got all 3 goals. Spoiler alert. Second period, Dylan Strome again, his 28th. Ovechkin on the apple with that one at 7:52. And then Pajot got him within 1. No helper, 11:36 in the third. And then Strome iced it in the who else with at 18:49, so 11 seconds short of the magic nugget. So no free food, but a beautiful hat trick by Strome, Tom Wilson, and Nick Dowd digging the puck. And making damn sure he had the shot at the hat trick. That was great to see. They could not have fought for the puck any harder.
Exactly. Love it.
Make sure that he got that shot at it. And that iced it. So 3-1 win. Power play finally struck for 1. That was good to see. Otherwise, a relatively low event game, which that's kind of the wheelhouse. They keep it simple and not too much happening. Double-digit shots each period, so they definitely played more of their game here. So if they can get that accomplished, I think they'll be fine. And they showed it here at least. So other than that, nothing to worry about, nothing, no concerns. But they finally got back to their game, and then came the finale, Thursday the 17th, and we were kind of hoping for better, but we didn't get better. It started out okay, but then it wasn't okay, not very. Connor McMichael started it up. His 26. Great to see him on the score sheet again. So his 26. Wilson with the helper at 4:08. Caps with the early lead. And then 46 seconds later, Brian Rust. I'm sick of saying this guy's name every time to play the damn Penguins. Koivunen and Griezlick on the assists on that one. So tie game into the second. Penguins get a power play. What a surprise. Rust again. Crosby and Koivunen the apples on this one. 7:19. And, well, okay. Caps were still making it close, but basically the Penguins never looked back. So Crosby, his 33rd at 11:56. Tomasino and Dewar, the helpers on that one. And then Caps get a power play, and Alex Ovechkin decides, hey, Sid, you know what? Anything you can do, I can do better. And he scores a power play goal to increase his own record. 897 rather. This one, 897 the goal total for his career. Dylan Strome his 53rd assist. Dubois his 46th assist. If that power play can just keep it going, I think they might have something here. But a little too sputtering for my liking. We'll talk about that later. And so that was 16:56 in the second. So we're thinking, all right, the Caps were capable of a comeback. Well, they were capable. Did they actually do anything about it? No, they did not. And not long into the third period, the wheels came off. They were on another power play, but they gave up a shorthanded goal, which, if I've said it once, I've said it 10,000 times. You should never, ever do that. If you want to win a game, shorthanded goal, Danton Heinen, no help on that one, 8:46, and that was pretty much it. Tomasino iced it, another quickie, 15 seconds later, my God. And it was kind of obvious at this point that the whole team had checked out. Hate to say, but, you call a spade, as has been said. Tomasino, his 11th at 9:01, 15 seconds later. Ricard Raquel, Griezlick, the apples on that one, and that finished the scoring. Penguins damn near doubled up the shot count on the Caps. And this was a giant pile of meh. At least pretty much from the end of the second period on. So
Agreed, but I don't know. I look at the scratches and I'm like,
yeah, there is that to
all right.
consider.
I mean, it would have been great, but um, Pittsburgh had nothing. They were already eliminated. They were going to, home game. They were to give it their all, regardless. So we had a couple guys out that could have changed the momentum of the game, but it didn't happen. And I don't know. I wasn't too upset by it, to be honest.
Well, you had Frank back in playing his first game in a while, and he kind of had a little rink rust. No Carlson,
No, but
uh,
and no Roy,
no Roy,
like
and
heavy hitters.
no Faravari either.
No, and I think he might be out for a little bit.
And and we'll talk about that. But yeah, he got a little twisted up in the game before, and that might be a little worse than we thought, even though he ended up finishing that game. Caps played an unusual formation. Usually, when they shake things up, it's the Slurpee system. And what do I mean by the Slurpee system? Well, 7 defensemen, 11 forwards, 7-11, hence Slurpee system. Not too hard to figure out. But for some reason, they decided to go the opposite way. This time, 5 defensemen and 13 forwards. Needless to say, the defensemen who already take longer shifts as it is, a lot of them running around pretty much the whole night. Only one D-man hit less than 20 minutes in time on ice, and that didn't miss by much. Dylan McElrath ended up getting 19 minutes, 56 seconds on this one. And they also had Clay Stevenson in net, the call-up
Yeah,
from Hershey to finish the year, to give Lindgren, who is presumably, but we're not 100% certain, but presumably, most likely, the starter in game 1. I don't think Stevenson did too badly. He had a much better game than Hunter Shepard did,
agreed.
for damn sure.
God, agreed.
I think he made some key saves that kept them in it. But yeah, I think everything, like I said, everything out from the last, I want to say the last 2-3 minutes of the second period on, the wheels just came off.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's not. Yeah, it just it wasn't conducive. But I think we can be certain that if they need a third goalie, they've got one. But
100%.
hopefully it won't come to that.
Right.
So
But no, Stevenson was way more impressive than Shepard, which is sad because when Shepard had his debut, I feel like everyone was like, "Oh my God, yes!" It was all this hype and adrenaline and everything, and I don't know what the hell happened, but it was almost kind of heart wrenching. You're just like, dude,
it was, and it
you
was,
know,
if yeah,
we're pulling for you, but there's only so much we can give, and if you're gonna not do it, sorry. But Clay
yeah,
Stevenson, honestly, like, for coming up and being his first game, um, I didn't have anything negative to say. Did we lose? Yes. But is that on him? No. So I thought it was okay.
yeah. I think he did a much better job. Like I said, unfortunately, he was caught in the same situation. So I mean, no excuses, as they say, but he was caught in the same situation, and he ended up doing better. So that gives me hope that maybe just someday, if they do need a call up,
Yeah.
he's going to be the guy. So
Welcome to the NHL.
yeah, really.
Yeah.
And it was, I wasn't too disappointed. Like I said, he did. I think he did pretty well for himself given the circumstances.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know, well, we ended up knowing somewhere around this time period that the Caps would end up playing the Montreal Canadiens. But also around this time period, we know how bad this team could play with a lot of its starters missing. And that's got some Caps fans worried. And well, okay, so you can look at this glass half full or empty, as I like to say. But I mean, I know you were taking mental notes this whole time when you were watching. What did you think, Anna?
Going into the playoffs?
Going into this last week.
Going into this last week, I honestly was probably not as panicked as other people, mainly because certain players were being rested, certain players were coming off of injury, and we're not playing at 100%. So I feel like going into tomorrow, and maybe tomorrow is going to be a clusterfuck of a game, but I have a feeling going into the series that we're just going to get incredibly more we're just going to see them get stronger. I know it's it's like you hate to look at another team and be like, oh, but they have this player, they have that player, and it's like, nope. At this point, I'm just looking at who's healthy on our team, who do we know is going to rise above, and really just absolutely kick ass. And we know Ovechkin is just riding a high. We know Tommy is riding a high. I heard today that Protus was on the ice. Fantastic. That there are certain people that you're just like, all right, they're going to come out, and you can kind of guarantee they're going to give that 110%. So that's just kind of how I feel. Like the last couple of games, it's just been, switching lines and players with, injuries and who we're going to sit out. So like, I honestly just kind of erased it from my mind and said, okay, moving forward, this is what I'm looking forward to. And these are the players I know I can count on. And I think it's just going to be fucking fantastic hockey from tomorrow on.
And I think for the most part, more of the same. Now I look at this week and no, do I like the results that happened that we got for the most part? Of course not. You never want to go. You never want to go into the playoffs. You never want to end things on a low.
But here's the thing. But they ended it on a low without their strongest lines. So it was almost kind of expected, and so that's why I like this last week. It's, were they terrible games? Like, I don't know, that 4-1 loss was like, oof, okay, what the fuck? But when you really think about it, it's like, okay, when everybody is healthy and everybody is, in playoff mode, and, you almost kind of like take the hat off to the season and put the hat on for playoffs. Moving forward, how can you not be super amped for everything moving forward? And that's just kind of how I'm looking at it. It's like, so these last couple of games, even like when I sent you that text before we came on, I was like, I don't know if there's much to say, because you know what, we didn't have full lineups, and whatever. We already clinched. Like, let's just get these games. I felt like it was just get the games out of the way, win or lose, who cares? Because this is where we're going to be tomorrow night, against the Canadiens, and let's just go.
Now this all is going to sound like a bunch of excuses, but it's the truth. So last 3 games, no John Carlson.
Right.
Last 7 or 8 games, no Protus.
Right.
Okay. You rested Ovechkin at least 1 or 2 games. Faravari's hurt.
Yep.
You've had guys that have been in and out of the lineup, some that are getting back into the lineup after a long, long time and just getting back into things. I'm not trying to make him out to be a liability, but in the middle of all this, you've got a rookie who is still figuring out his way into things. Not that he's played badly. Of course, I'm talking about Ryan Leonard,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still a learning curve, and it's still, part of how the team is kind of figuring things out.
Yeah,
And
but you have Tom Wilson kicking ass. You have Dylan Strome kicking ass. When DMAC has to come up, he's been great. TVR we're hearing more about. And with Ovechkin, it's like, holy shit. His milestone there isn't anything. It's not even a milestone. It's so much more than that. Whatever the word would be, he accomplished that. Check the box. His mindset is all about the playoffs now, and I have a feeling that's going to be totally contagious in the locker room. And these guys are going to come out and they're going to play, and when they don't play well, man, are they going to hear about it in the locker room, whether it's from their teammates, their coach, whatever it is. But I feel like we can't really go into this playoff saying, well, what about this game? What about this game? No, I honestly, like, almost the last 2 weeks, once we clinched the playoffs and we knew it was happening, all those games, to me, I was like, meh, if we win, great. If we don't, meh, whatever. We don't have you don't have a full roster. You've got injuries, you're resting people. So I don't know. I have a different vibe going into these playoffs than I have in the past.
And well, I definitely get all that. I agree. And to build on your point, there is, well, before I get to that, it should be pointed out that there was no game that meant anything at all other than break the record ever
Right.
since they clinched. So they really didn't
100%.
have much to play for. And then once the record was gotten, they had nothing to play for.
Right.
So now but like you said, now they're at the point where they are playing meaningful games. And they do have a leader that is capable of carrying them when he needs to, when he has to, as he's done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody, I don't care who you're a fan of, anybody that says he's a no good captain, you haven't been watching hockey,
Oh,
period.
I have.
You are just,
I can't. I would happily go toe to toe with that
you are
a
just a
hole.
flat out hater at that point, if
Exactly.
you're still thinking or saying that. So yeah, that's the glass half full side, is
Yeah.
that the leadership of this team is making sure that they're all ready. And yeah, we got to say it. You already say it, but we're going to say it here. The 2 guys that were still consistent, with everybody out, Tom Wilson and Dylan Strome, still performed. Did you not hear me mention all the assists they had?
Right.
So, I mean, one concern I saw, I forget where it was, maybe Twitter. Well, only Ovechkin scoring the goals. Not true.
No, not true.
He's not completely driving the offense. And yes, the offense does look a little different without Carlson behind it.
Yeah.
So now what does kind of bug me is that why did they keep him out like 3-4 straight games? And no explanation other than maintenance.
Yeah.
And as I said in the chat room, I I had a 20-year-old car once, and it didn't need anywhere near as much maintenance
Right. Well,
as
and
3 days worth.
that's the other thing is like, okay, are they, putting a Band-Aid on something that, could be a problem? I don't know. Or they just, resting him and they just don't want to say that. Who knows? But I just have to say, I just really, I don't know. Like Dowd, I feel like we're going to see Nick Dowd and we're going to be talking about him this time next week. Because, he signed just another 2-year contract. Fantastic player. Just, I don't know, just like 100% all the time. Everything about the guy is just fantastic. And I just feel like those kind of players, that kind of vibe are going to benefit, anyone new coming up, but also, just keep the vibe going with the other vets. So I think that's what I look forward to. And, Ryan Leonard, he's got big pun skates to fill, but a big role to play, and everyone is counting on him. But I also think that he's not one that's going to like super choke. I think he is quite determined, quite skilled, and quite fantastic on the ice. That I think we're going to see him come out and be like, okay, this is why we have been, chirping about this guy for a while. And why not? Like, going to throw you into the NHL, we're going to throw you into the playoffs. So step up or step aside. And that's just basically what it comes down to.
And you're going to see nothing but the absolute best from these guys.
Yeah.
And not to be. I think the reason that some are nervous, and I gotta admit, at times I count myself among these folks. A lot of us were around for 2010,
Right.
and me being a history guy, yeah, there's a tendency that history repeats itself. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I mean, it's 15 years later. They're two totally different teams. Ovechkin is older and wiser, and I think better than he was back then in a lot of
Right.
ways. I, and I don't know. I look at the Canadiens and I see a good team, but I don't see them being the better team after 7 games or however long it takes. And by the way, if anybody's thinking this is going to be a sweep, forget it.
No,
No, it's not. It's
no,
not. This is going to be difficult. I
no.
guarantee you that.
Suzuki alone, Caulfield, I'm just like, oh. But
Those two guys, yeah.
but don't you think I of course I've never been an NHL player, obviously. You haven't. But don't you think that is just what is going to drive this team to, kind of prove everybody wrong? Anyone who's doubting, anyone who's been like, oh, they only played, uh, the focus was only on Ovechkin breaking the record. No, 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 no. Got that. Like I said, check the box. This is going to be a team that is going to come out and just, God, balls to the wall, just do it. And, but I do think, like, holy, when you look at the Canadians, like, this is no joke. No joke going into this game tomorrow and the next couple of games, because uh, they are a fucking good team and good. You know what? Bring it on, because our boys are good too. So I think it's gonna like, I want to say I'm not worried about it, and then I bet you like tomorrow I'm gonna be pacing and having a whole lot of like, oh my god, stress comments and uh shouting out the window. My neighbor's gonna be like, what the is wrong with you? but that's how it should be. It's playoffs. It brings out the best and the worst of every fan, and that's why it makes it so great.
And I think you're going to see a lot of that even on the ice as
Yeah.
well. A
Oh God, yeah.
lot of energy.
Of
I think
physicality.
after the first few minutes, I think everything's going to settle down. But yeah, you're going to see a lot of that. A lot of guys who have been waiting to get this done, get into the show and show everybody what they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting first few minutes.
Did you watch the Jets game last night?
Yes, I did. Man, if that is a preview of what the rest of the playoffs is going to be like,
Exactly.
good Lord.
And that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm gonna be excited, nervous, pacing, drinking, like who knows what, because I watched it, for the pegs, like in honor of my mom, and then texting, her childhood best friend, and was like, oh my God, like this is insane. Like this is like 3-3. And then all of a sudden, and there was fights and 5-3 and holy shit. So, but that's what makes hockey exciting, and that's what makes it, we're just going to be so fucking pumped. But holy shit, like you're so spot on, Gail. Like if that's any kind of, uh, uh premonition or whatever, or foreshadowing going in, bring it, because it's going to be physical. It's going to be the best of the best.
Yeah, I think so. Now, a little bit of a reality check here. So we've got to go over the injury list. Now, starting with the defense. So Chikrin actually took a puck to the face in yesterday's practice. Just needed a small repair, so he's fine. No worries there.
Yeah.
Faravari, unfortunately, is probably going to be out. I would say. I would estimate at the bare minimum he's going to be out the first 2 games, and
Yeah, agreed.
I would not be surprised if he ends up missing the entire series. Not
Oof.
to be, I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but yeah, he's not even skating. I mean, he managed to finish that game against the Islanders, but they rested him, and he has not hit the ice since. So that kind of tells me that, Coach Carberry's keeping things close to the vest, as he should.
Right.
Listen, folks, you get used to it. You're not going to get a lot out of any coach when there's an injury. All right. It doesn't matter if it's a hangnail or the guy's foot's about to fall off. Okay.
Right.
They're not going to say a word, so get used to it. Now, Protas is back to skating. He was in a non-contact jersey today's practice, and he looked a little taking it easy, kind of, keep it simple. So I don't think he'll be back in time for tomorrow's game. But I think there's a good shot that he shows up somewhere in this series, especially if it goes the distance.
Okay.
So
You
I
don't
think
think
there's a
it
good
was
chance.
just like him being cautious and them being cautious, and
Well,
that...
it was a lot of that, but again, he was in a non-contact jersey, so I don't think he's
Okay.
he's not anywhere near 100% just yet. He's going to need some more time, and then he's going to need a few days once he's back into contact practice just to get some of his timing back, and then
Right.
he's going to need at least a game or a half a game to get back into game shape.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, may be a while, but he's at least a lot further down the road than most at this point. I can't think of anyone else. I think Duhaime, thank God. Oh, that was scary in the Pittsburgh game.
Yes.
He's fine.
Good.
He missed some time in that game, but he came back. He's fine. So of course, Milano's still out. May not be seeing him unless there's like
Yeah,
and
there's no
I don't even
reason.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even know at this point. But there you have the injury. So you're probably going to see McElrath and or Alexeyev in Faravari's place. Um, if you really want to know, so I will just hop in here and look at the roster if you'll indulge me for a minute. So it all depends on what hand he shoots with. Faravari. Okay, so Faravari's a lefty. So that kind of screen. Well, okay. Well, you know what? It could still be McElrath or Alexeyev,
Okay.
because McElrath can actually switch.
Okay.
Alexeyev's the natural lefty. I tell you what, neither one of them looked too bad in the last game. I think
Agreed.
but the both of them, they were the only ones that weren't a minus on the decor. So
Right.
for what that's worth. So I don't know. I don't know who you go with. And they've called up, of course, Ethan Bear as extra insurance. Um, and of course, Roy's going to be back. Sandin, I think, has played a lot better of late. So
Agreed.
that's a bright spot. TVR,
PDR. Yeah.
he's going to be, I think, him and Sandin are a lot more stable as that bottom pair. So I'm not as worried about them
Right.
as long as they keep their game simple. So that's really, I think, where the series is going to be won and lost. The six guys that play that part of the ice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got Carlson driving the offense, Chikrin to help him out, and I think whoever they decide to slot in for Faravari will be fine. And then the bottom two to round that out. I don't know. What did you think about Anthony Beauvillier on the first line?
Mm.
You can take it, you can leave it.
I could take it or I could leave it, but you know what? I kind of feel, and I will just say, being totally honest, I think that I could take it in the playoffs because he's experienced. I don't know, he's not one that I'm like, when he's on the ice, I don't get like super angst about and be like, the uh, I don't know, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, and I'm going to be okay with it going into the playoffs.
I tell you what, they didn't necessarily hook up for any goals.
Yeah.
The last few games that they did play together, but I tell you what I do like. I do like his speed. I do like the
Yeah.
way he goes to the net, and I do
I
like
think
the
he
fact.
plays smart hockey.
Yeah, I do like the fact that a guy like Strome can probably find a guy like that.
True.
And if you've got a guy that can find those guys and a guy that can shoot the puck at the net, like an Ovechkin, and maybe another guy like Beauvillier that can speed around, skate circles around everybody and pick up loose pucks and rebounds and nice things like that, that might be a pretty good combo there.
Agreed. I don't know. He's just not on my radar as someone that I'm
I
like,
get it. I get it.
yeah.
He hasn't put up. He's not the not the big numbers type that you expect to see on a top line. But like I said on Sports on the Hill last week, you never know what you put together, and you get you get a nice combo out of. Somebody had the great idea of putting chocolate on potato chips once, and look how that turned out.
Right. I wouldn't know, but yeah, I bet it's good.
You got to try that sometime. I guarantee it. I was skeptical too until I tried it. Oh my. So a bit more of some stats to go over before we go over the schedule here. Okay, so Goaltending, nothing home to write about from our two main guys. But I would say that the goaltending on the other side is worse. Not that I don't know. Not that I'm pointing fingers, but I mean they're not exactly world beaters either.
Right.
So I'm not too worried about it. I don't think that's where they'll win and lose the games. Special teams, I hate to say it, but there's really no difference. 21st best power play in Montreal, 13th best power play with the Caps. That I think translates to one more goal. So, it might be the difference. I don't know if it's going to be that close, but I don't know. Not really. Penalty kill, we got the 5th best penalty kill. Canadiens have the 9th best penalty kill. So, again, you might squeak one goal out of that, and if it's really tight, okay, yeah, that makes the difference. But other than that, I don't really see. I mean, the only difference is the goals for. Now, how many goals for? And we do better by about a half a goal per game, and that is, I think that's where the difference is going to be in 5-on-5, and that's why I'm a little concerned about Protas not being there, because he's been the best 5-on-5 player. But as we've talked about, we've still got a lot of guys that can get it done.
True.
So, yeah, not having Protas hurts, but I think we're still better 5-on-5, and that's going to be the main difference. So the schedule, and it's worth saying here that this whole first round, yes, don't worry about it. You don't have to worry about putting up with ESPN, TNT, those guys. You don't have to worry about that. It's all
Thankfully.
whole first round, guaranteed. The local guys still have it. It's when they get out of the first round that, yeah. So, but every game, as I said, covered by Monumental. So tomorrow night, 7 o'clock puck drop at the friendly confines of Cap 1. And then they separate days off to spread out the schedule. Schedule makers, I got to say, finally gave us a pass on this one by starting us the last possible slot they could have. So thank you for once, you heads.
God.
So, yeah, 21st of April, tomorrow, 7 o'clock puck drop, as I said. And then Wednesday the 23rd, back again for game 2, same time, same station, 7 o'clock start for that one. And then game 3 on Friday night at the Bell Center in La Belle Province of Quebec in Montreal City, 7 o'clock start there. And then Sunday, they've got it down for a 6:30 start Sunday evening for game 4. And then game 5 is slated for April 30th. They don't have a start time as yet that's to be announced. So, and that, of course, it is, if necessary, and I'm going to guarantee that it is necessary, because I don't think Montreal will go quietly.
Right.
Or that this will be easy. I'm confident, but it won't be easy if you've ever seen a playoff series. So
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be easy.
yeah, that's so that's where we're at. I'm not going to go into the rest of the scheduled games into May. So we'll figure on those 5 games. Now, since the game is scheduled for Sunday, right smack in the middle of when I would be editing this thing, probably going to say we will record next Saturday, the 26th.
Okay.
So we'll be covering games 1 through 3 in our next episode. And Mermaid, you will be on hand for that.
I will.
I'm assuming. Okay, great. Okay, and yeah, I think we'll wrap it up here. Not really much to say. You have anything to add? Any other?
No, I think I blabbed my way through this episode.
No, I think you added a lot of. No, I think you made a lot of good points, and that reminded us that yeah, there's a lot of good left here that not to be
have some
discounted.
faith.
So
Let's do this.
now to that end, I will be sharing a cobbled together video I'm making that will be just in time for tomorrow night's game. So I hope you enjoy that. Also, another programming note on content partners over at Sports on the Hill podcast. We will be on Tuesday night. So the regular broadcasts are Monday night, of course, but game one will be Monday night. And so Robbie's decided to forego that. So we're going to do a Tuesday night, same time, 9:00 broadcast of that one. I
won't be on. I'll be on the following week, though.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're going to have, I think C4 is slotted in. I'm not sure
good.
who else, but Robbie, herself, and myself on that at the very least. So we'll be covering game one. C4, by the way, and Marcus will be at game one.
Amazing.
So yes, so hence why she'll be on. So we'll be hearing from them, I'm sure. And on that very episode, I will be making a bit of a fashion statement, shall we say?
Oh boy.
I'm gonna temporarily forgo Mrs. Blue Liner's Tommy jersey for something else, just for that one episode.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna say what it is. I will let everybody be surprised. So if you want to know what it is, do please tune in at 9:00 to Sports on the Hill podcast.
All right.
Okay, so with that, I'm hoping for a damn good playoffs here. Caps, Caps fans, let's have some faith. Let's not let the ghosts of 15 years ago cloud our judgment and make us worried. Oh, we can have that energy, but let it be good energy. It's the frickin' Stanley Cup, and it's worth playing for. It's worth sweating for. It's worth drinking for. It's worth having a good time. And it's one of those great things that makes you feel alive. Gotta say. So with that, I'm sorry?
I said 100%. I agree.
Oh, hells yeah. So with that, this is the Blue Liner on Point for the final time of the regular season and going into playoffs 2025. Signing off for this episode and reminding you, have you ever noticed that cows seem very, very tired after giving birth? Well, it's because they've just been decaffeinated.
Nope.
Hard no again from the Mermaid.
Hard no.
Hallelujah, and let's go Caps.
Let's go Caps.
This has been another episode of the Power Play Point Podcast. All episodes are available from Apple Podcasts, the Podbean app, blueliner77.podbean.com, and now available from Stitcher. Music by Joe McAllister, voiceover by Jeffrey Conkle.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Power Play Point Podcast. Thanks for listening.